month, and we try to get together and really just pour into leaders around the community. And our mission is meet someone new and learn something new. So today we've got a lot of good knowledge that's going to be poured your way. So definitely take notes, put it down on paper, and use it later, because there's going to be so much coming at you. So being part of First Fridays, we've partnered with Stillwater Hospice, and they are nice enough to allow us to have this building the first Friday of every month. And we get it for the hour, and we found out that after that hour, leaders like to talk and network. So we've taken advantage of that, and Emily was nice enough to extend our meeting time. So if you guys stay a little bit after and network, don't feel like you're going to get kicked out of the room. So take advantage of meeting someone new and having that conversation. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Morgan. Where's she hiding? There she is. Oh, man. So Morgan with Stillwater Hospice, just to give you a little bit about Stillwater and the program that she's working on.
How's everyone doing this morning? Good. Beautiful morning, right? Yes. Over the cold weather, but we're getting over it. So I wanted to do a quick introduction of who I am. My name is Morgan Pfeiffer, and I'm currently my master's in social work here at Stillwater Hospice through the Peggy F. Murphy Community Grief Center. I just first wanted to say welcome. If you've shared this space with us before, or if you're brand new, we just appreciate you coming out, spending your morning with us for First Fridays. So if you have been with us before for First Fridays, I know we have had a couple openers go over some of our programming that we have and some of the services that we offer through Stillwater Hospice as a whole. But I would like to talk about some of the amenities that we offer at the Peggy F. Murphy Community Grief Center that is off campus. I'm sure everyone in this room has experienced grief once in their lifetime or have worked in a leadership team where we have experienced loss within the workplace. And grief overall, it's not something fun to talk about. It's actually kind of taboo when you think about it. And as leaders, it can be very, very difficult to navigate through some of those situations, those conversations, and just trying to build support within our community. Something that Stillwater Hospice and the Peggy F. Murphy Community Grief Center do offer, we do community outreach, so we do events. If you know that your agency is trying to represent anything in correlation to grief and loss, we, as a whole at the Peggy F. Community Grief Center, will go out and support. We also do debriefing sessions as well, just to help navigate some of those tough conversations in the workplace. We also have a menu of PowerPoints that we like to offer to anyone that has lost anyone in the workplace as well. And just, we do a lot of advocation as well when it comes to grief and loss and specifics surrounding that. As leadership, I'm incorporating some of the grief support and services that we offer. It can help empower people to talk about grief. It can also help surround and build coping skills within the workplace as well, just to be positive when we are talking about such a difficult time, especially since that can be very vulnerable for people in our community. If you guys have any questions with any of the amenities that we offer, I will just be at that back table. I do have a couple pamphlets that I can offer you guys and just kind of talk about some of the services that we have to offer, or if it's your first time attending First Fridays, I can go over the programming as well. All right, I'm going to hand it off to, sorry, I don't think we've done it for Jamie.
That's someone new. This is what we want you to do at First Fridays, right? Again, thank you all for coming today. I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, who is a leader in the community, a visionary, a mentor to many of us, and one of my dear friends. I can say that about you. In this group, how many, raise your hands loud and proud, how many of you have been touched, mentored, coached by John? Right? If your hand's not raised, you need to get to know this man. He will challenge you, and he will make you be a better person, a better leader, and a better mentor in this community. John is all about community building. He is all about building the community and building its leaders from the foundation up. He and I go way back when he first founded the Black Chamber of Commerce years ago. He's also he's part of a lot, so I have to write it down because I forget everything he's a part of. He makes me tired. So he's founded the Black Chamber of Commerce. He's with the Preston Group, sorry, my bad, the Penta Group, Fort Wayne Ink Spot, and the Dream Center. All of those bring something to our community. So he is empowering our youth and our leaders within the community. Please welcome John Dortch.
Everybody hear me? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. You ever been to a black church, anybody? Raise your hand. Okay, I want to hear you talk back. But Jamie and I go way back. But one of the things about today is that Jamie asked me a couple of times about doing this, and each time I said no, I changed the conversation. Then she decided to, and somebody called me. Do you know you're on LinkedIn? And you're going to speak at First Friday. That's Jamie. She decided to do it.
I just want everybody to hear you loud and proud.
Okay, thank you.
There we go.
There we go. Thanks for coming, but before I get into what I'm gonna talk about, I think it's important that you know who I am. And I'm just an Alabama country boy, and I tell everybody about it. Born and reared in a little town called Camden, Alabama. Dad had a 6th grade education, Mom had an 8th grade education. Raised 11 of us, all college graduates. Okay? I was the only one that stayed out 2 years before I went to college.
I was one of those that
It was always a
trouble. Got thrown in jail prom night.
drag racing.
The guy was killed.
Because of the reputation my dad had in the community, I didn't spend time going anyplace. But it really wasn't my fault. He passed me, I passed him, and then he couldn't catch up with me. No. So that's what happened. So after 2 years, I went to Tennessee State University. I thought I was going to be a stockbroker. So I majored in economics and accounting. Graduated 3.5 years with honors. My first job was with the Internal Revenue in Nashville, Tennessee. 2 years. Didn't like it. International Harvester brought me here. I was with them 3.5 years. I thought I was coming to a military base, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I left Harvester and I went to Parkview Hospital, went through 4 promotions, assistant director. The last 15 years I was there. I was the vice president. Got tired of the corporate America situation, so I started my first company, the Preston Group. My middle name is Preston. Then I ended up buying a building on South Calhoun, the Penta CS Group. Currently have, that was 12 years ago, currently have 10 people in there. 8 of those 10, all female entrepreneurs. Guys, women are kicking our butt. I have to tell you that. You know, I have 7 sisters, so 4 are younger, 3 are older. So I know on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe I'm at a 2 of understanding women. So I started Fort Wayne Ink Spot newspaper 5 years ago. It's in all the CVS stores. It's a newspaper, Fort Wayne Ink Spot. Instead of saying a minority newspaper or black newspaper, whatever, I woke up at 2 in the morning and the Fort Wayne Ink Spot, that's the name of the paper. 7,000 subscribers approximately. One of the writers is here this morning, and he's heavily involved in the school system. A great writer, Mr. Keith Edmonds, you might know him. Outstanding writer, he's sitting in the back. But we have 6 or 7 writers, and they all do a very, very good job. So if you want to see the newspaper, you want to add in it, you can go to any CVS stores, and they all sell it. Then, a year and a half ago, 2 years in March, there's been so much written about the southeast side of town. So we opened up the Dream Center. and took the word dream acronym. D is determination, R is respect, E is energy, A is attitude, and M is motivation. If you have a vision and you have a dream, obviously, takes determination, respect, energy, attitude, motivation, takes that for you to get across. We're doing a lot at the Dream Center. It has 3 pillars under it. One pillar is health and wellness. That's owned by Kelly Marvin. She's a partner in the Dream Center and the vice president. The second pillar is entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to have a business or be an entrepreneur, but how do you go about it? One of the things that we will be teaching is, and I'm primarily going to be the one teaching, I'm trying to get Chuck Shurak, my friend, to join me. You're going to start a business, but how do you stay in business, Why businesses fail. So we have that, and the last one is life skills. We're doing a lot in the arena of life skills. We have various people coming in that teaching all of these programs and at no cost. Most recent one we just had, Heidi Adair. She's an attorney, well known in the state of Indiana, and she does wills and trusts. One of the people that came to that, the lady started crying because her husband divorced and left her $20,000 in debt. Heidi's going to work with her at no cost. These are the type of things that happen as people know. Another one, we're currently talking to the Social Security office about having a branch office there, because Social Security doesn't make sense. You got to go all the way out to Waynedale, somewhere out. And then if you call them, you're going to stay on the phone for at least 3 hours. That's ridiculous. So we want to be able to reach people and accommodate people. So I just want you to kind of know a little bit about who I am, why I do what I do. I brought 2 books. I like to read all the time. One is the 5 a.m. Club. How many of you are members of the 5 a.m. Club? Great. Raise your hand again. Okay, great. Do you have this book? If I had more, I would give you this one. And the other one, the Let Them Theory. You familiar with this?
Yeah.
Okay, you believe in it?
Yeah.
Been helpful, right? I definitely believe in it myself. And the last one is Built to Lead, a guide to mentorship. Jamie briefly talked about mentoring. I wrote this. It's just more of a workbook, and it has questions in it that you have to answer, or comments that you should write down. So I'll give it out. I've written 3 books. My first one was How I Grew Up. This one, Built to Lead, a guide to mentorship. And the most recent book is 14 Rules to Help You Survive in Corporate America. Been there, tough, not easy, but you can survive in it. But you can do a better job as an entrepreneur. I didn't talk about the barbershop I had, had that for 5 years, but got out of it because I was losing money, because you got to be there. Barbers cheat and say they only made X amount of dollars and all of that. I had one particular area, happy hour, the 3rd Friday of every month, I had hair hour, and I would bring in a speaker for an hour and a half to talk to clients. If you had a question from a legal standpoint, I would bring an attorney in, I'd bring a doctor in, for 5 years I did that. But again, you had the same couple of people that would come in the same time, all the time, so I got out of it and I was losing money anyway. So as an entrepreneur, that's going to happen. Don't be afraid to take a chance. The power of letting go and moving forward. Now we're going to talk about, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. There you go. Question of the day, what are you afraid of? Why is it you don't take the chances you should? You heard me talk about, oh, I've done this, I've done that, But you got to be gutsy. Don't worry about why, what, or what somebody might say. Those books that I held up will give you a lot of information, but you do have not be afraid. The main themes I want to talk about is fear. We all have fear. And there's nothing wrong with being afraid, but why do you have fear? Why is it that you don't do certain things? I remember when I first graduated from high school, college, and guys were playing golf, and I was afraid to go out, And then when I went, I decided to try to do it myself. Didn't know how to hold the club or what to do and all of that. I was afraid. It's a great game, but once you learn it, there are certain people that you know or you see, and you're afraid to say something to them or ask them a question. Do not be afraid. A lot of great opportunities out there, okay? If you let them theory, a life-changing tool that millions of people can't stop talking about. This is one that you just saw, the book. I read a lot. Hesitating to apply for a job or starting a business. Fear doesn't change you. Having courage moves you forward. Now, many of you, I'm sure, have had some fear about doing something, going someplace, talking to somebody. It could be relationships, it could be a job, whatever. I talk to people weekly, monthly, daily, and there are many, many people that have talked to me, and they've come around and said, you know what? You gave me some good advice. I deal with a lot of people that have been incarcerated. My paper that I put out, 500 to 600 of those are given out free every month. Every other week the paper comes out. It's mailed out of Webster, Indiana. And the thing about it is that I give the jail 100 free papers a month. The letters I get from the guys in jail and saying what that paper is doing to them. The juvenile center gets the same. At 3 women's shelters in Fort Wayne, they get the same. And the rescue mission. All of these people refer back to me or send me notes, or whatever, about what the paper has done or doing to them. Do not be afraid to help someone. What you want to do is try to make this world better than you found it. That's what it's all about. You're here for a reason. I thank my parents and I thank God, really. My first book, chapter 7, talks about being spiritual keeps you grounded. I really strongly believe in that. Spirituality plays a key important part in your life. Challenges are not roadblocks, but they are opportunities to grow. I started a barbershop, didn't know anything about it. Started the newspaper, didn't know anything about it. But it was a challenge. I grew from that. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to grow. So you need to make mistakes. Do not be afraid to take a challenge. Well, you say, I'm not going to make any money, I might not. I was born broke, okay? We all were. Now, there are a few people might have been, your current president said that he was, whatever. But, the thing about it, I was born broke. I'm not going to die broke, though. Somebody, it'll be passed on to somebody, okay? Any of you familiar with Teddy Pendergrass? Raise your hand. Okay, I see a couple of hands in here. One of his famous songs that he did talked about, you gotta let it go, just another love TKO. The song, technical knockout. The song was about love. So he had a situation. Have you ever met someone that wanted to talk about something that happened 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and they still talking about it? Oh, I got a bad grade when I was in school, and it was the teacher's fault. Oh, I got fired from a job. Let it go. What good? Nobody wants to hear it anyway, right? Am I right? Nobody want to hear you complaining about something. How many people that you talk to, and people say, every time I see them, or they avoid you, every time I see them, So you gotta let it go. And it might be another TKO, You might have gotten a bad grade. You might have had a bad relationship. Sometimes you have to self-evaluate. Evaluate yourself. Because it could be something you did. One of the things I talk about when I do workshops on performance and all of that. I talk about the three things. PBA, performance, behavior, and attendance. And people come to me and talk about, oh, they fired me. One, who are they? That's right. Two, why did you get fired? Normally you have violated a policy, a procedure, or some kind of rule or whatever. Once you break it down, you know. I'm a certified mediator, and I was just handling a situation last week. The lady had lost her job. By the time we finally got down to the bottom of it, it was not her fault, really. This particular one was not. Occasionally,
Running it over.
majority of the time,
You have done
something wrong. But yet you want to say, they fired me. And then first thing I want to know, well, who are they? What's that a policy? What's their procedure? Or whatever. PBA, performance, behavior, and attendance. You remember the Jack in the Box we all grew up with that? That's gonna happen, right? You're gonna get knocked down. But the Jack in the Box, you wind it up, push it down, what happens? Pops back up, right? You should be the same way. Think of the Jack in the Box situation. You're gonna get knocked down. But you gotta bounce back up and keep going. Just like I told you with the barber shop. I just knew, my plans were to have 3 or 4 different barber shops in all the sections of Fort Wayne. You know, because I had one area called B&B, books and boards. I had the women on one side, the men on the other, you know. It was a great barber shop. Fact of it is, I lost money. You know? And I had to let it go. It was like Jack in the Box, you know. I got bounced down, you know, because of all the different areas, you know, and then I bounced back up and went on to something else. Now you think that I'm done in doing, I've written 3 books, you know, I have the 4 businesses we talked about. Am I done? Heck no. I'm thinking of something else. And I'm gonna write another book at some point. You gotta be a visionary, as Jamie says, you know. You gotta have a vision. And you gotta dream of things. It's part of the dream, that determination and all of that goes in there. And we're receiving so many calls now about the Dream Center. Just yesterday we got a call from the Cancer Society. They want to start doing some workshops here. Workshops that will be free. We need to help people. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living will not have been in vain. Have you ever thought of it that way? I can help somebody, and all of you can help somebody because somebody did help you. They went out of the way to do something to help you, so you can do it. Encourage letting go of addictions, guilt, and failures to make space for growth. You know, I have a number of gentlemen that have been incarcerated that I have worked with, and each and every one of them, I think of 5 now, doing exceptionally well. One guy that had been incarcerated for 7.5 years. Every other month when he got out, I had lunch with him, took him to lunch. I paid for it. But it was so basic, a lot of the things that I had to talk to him about, you know. One of the things I learned when I was in college and I was dating a young lady, coming again from a farm, you know, out of the country, I did not know which side of fork went on, or which side of it. But Phyllis taught me if it has 4 letters, F-O-R-K, it goes to the left of the plate. If it has 5 letters, S-P-O-N-K-N-I-F-E, you know? Jim, you know what I'm talking about. A spoon to the right of the plate. I use that now, you know, with this young man, he had no idea. Some basic, simple things, you know. Now, it used to be when you interviewed for a job, you always go, back in the day, you go for lunch. And that was one of the criteria that was not written, you were not told, right, Tim? You know, that happened, and people would evaluate you based on how you ate and where you put the fork, the knife, and the spoon. So simple, so basic. I didn't know it, but I had to learn it. Pay attention and learn things, and it will help you to become stronger, better than who you are. So think about that. No matter how far you fall, that's the way to rise. I mentioned a little bit about the drag basin, you know, and when I was doing that, but there were several other factors involved in that. One, the young lady I was with, her father didn't want, and the mother didn't want her to be. So I took her anyway. Two, so I ended up, you know, getting thrown in jail. But I left the scene of the accident to take her home because I knew they were taking me to jail. So I took her home and I came back to, that was a plus in my favor because I came back, you know, to the situation. So, again, no, I felt like I disappointed my dad, I disappointed the family, and to this day, they still like to talk about, you are the only one of the 11 that did this and that did that. Well, I was always in trouble, you know. I'm not afraid to take a chance. Do not be afraid of life, but do the right thing. Don't do what I did, okay? Talking a little bit about mentoring, that's one of the things I do. Seed has a program here in that people go through it. And right now I'm mentoring 5 people. But mentoring is not just a 1 day or 1 week. I like at least a year, you know, at least once a month. Because there are questions, there are assignments you're gonna have, you gotta work on. Otherwise, I don't wanna waste my time with you, and I don't want you to waste your time with me. There are expectations. Nobody rises to low expectations, do they? You know, I used to run and jump in when I was in high school and college, you know. Never made any number 1 or track team or anything like that, but I did it because I liked it. But nobody rises to low expectations. The bar, if they get over it, then raise it, you know? That's what your expectations should be. If I'm gonna work with you, you're gonna have expectations. If I'm gonna mentor you, and then once you get there, don't think you're done, and you can just walk away. You gotta move up to something else, okay? Mentoring helps others realize their potential, encourage mentorship in order to inspire others, you know. All of you are capable and able to mentor someone. A lot of young people need a lot of help. And they will ask you a question, then you should come back to a question with them. One of the things though, when they give you an answer, I always use something I learned from Dr. Casey. Dr. Casey was my mentor when I was at International Harvest. I was really young and he smoked a pipe. And you asked Dr. Casey a question, if he didn't know the answer, you'd take a couple of puffs on that pipe, processing in his head. I liked it so much, I went and bought me a pipe. I never did, you know. I think I still have that pipe somewhere. But I didn't get addicted to it or anything like that. But one thing Dr. Casey, he asked me once, he saw me do something, answer a question. John, are you a diplomat? I said, I don't know. He said, you know what a diplomat is? A diplomat is a person that has the ability to tell somebody, go to hell, and they look forward to the trip, right? Now that's smooth, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a diplomat. And Dr. Casey taught me that. So you can learn a lot of things from people, again, if you have a mentor. Mentorship is so key, so important. You know? And if any of you want a copy of this book, you know, these books are $10, but I'll be happy to get it to you. You know, you can contact me. And I've given out about 3,000 books, as long as they can help you. Okay? That's my book, Built to Lead, A Guide to Mentorship. Chuck Schurak endorsed the back of it and said some good things on the back. I don't think he just wrote on there just to make me feel good. You know, he didn't have to. First he could have said no, right? Yeah, I don't, you know, but he had some comments. Brenda Gerber Vincent, who I have a lot of respect for, she's the vice president at Greater Fort Wayne. She endorsed the back of it. Tom Horter. I had a client in Bluffton for 10 years in which they were very similar to Chuck Schurak. They had a 9-passenger plane. They would fly here once a month. So we ended up going to Toronto because again, some of the things that they had going on. One of the former staff members, yeah, I talked to him briefly. Yeah, he's in the back there, kind of. But anyway, good people, but these guys, billionaires also, you get on the plane in the morning, Bloody Mary, you know, totally different life, you know. But that's the way some people are. But exposure, education, and experience, the 3 E's, they are so key in anything that you do. You need to be exposed, you need to get the education, you need to have the experience. That would go a long way into what you're doing and where you want to go. It would really, really help you. That's one of the things that has happened to me. Oh, that was Chuck's comments right there. They wrote it on the back of my positive, encouraging guide to being effective. Chuck Chirac, founder, CEO. That's on the back of this book here. Addiction is, can be, but, you know, it can happen to any of us in this room. But let go, as I said earlier. Now, let's go back to what I started talking about. How many of you do, just raise your hand or nod your head or something. How many of you have not done something because you were afraid? Wow. That's great, and thanks for being honest. Well, I am what I am because I was afraid. But I'm not anymore. I take a chance. I go out. I've lost money. I could have made it. I should have, would have, could have. You know, we've all used that. But one of the things I want to encourage you is that do not be afraid. Don't let fear be the thing that's going to hold you back.
John, what about just the fear of failure? You know, you put your heart and soul into something and you get beat up by it.
You got to be the jack in the box. You got to bounce back up and keep going, because that's going to happen. As I told you, I had the intention to have 3 or 4 barbershops in all the different sides of the city, and the barbershop I had started off great. I put $90,000 in that thing. You know, had the see-through top and all kinds of stuff, and it was very nice. It had an area for books and boys, because a lot of people bring their boys, and I want them to read, because reading is so great. You need to read. But didn't make it. Could have held on to it, but you have to have a destination as to what. You have to look at, one of the things you have to look at is your bottom line. Am I making any money? Am I losing money? Or what am I going to do? And I had a manager too, who I found it's not even worth the manager paying him money, because he was supposed to do things. If you're going to have a barbershop or something like that, you need to be there. There are certain businesses, and there are some that, you know, but with the barbershop, they have money coming in, and with that. All the other businesses, some not there usually, but I'm in and out. But there are certain businesses, if you're bringing money in, you need to be there, because at the end of the day, at the end of the week, people got to pay up, and they got to pay you. Otherwise, you're going to go broke. That answer your question, Keith?
Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, I forgot to mention that interview. Okay. Let go of what's weighing you down, trust the process, and step boldly into the future. Well, many of you that's here today, I'm sure you have something that's holding you back or holding you down, and you can't let it go. It's just like Teddy Pendergrass. It's just another TKO, just a technical knockout. Let it go. We all get caught up in that, either because we're making money. I've left places. When I left Parkview, I was a vice president, 6-figure income and all of that. A lot of people say, I know you got fired. I didn't get fired. You know, you got to have guts to walk away from something. If you're not happy, then you need to do something about it. Doesn't mean that you have to leave it. But after I left Parkview, they turned around and gave me a 2-year consulting contract, which was great. was even better, because I could make more money doing consulting than I could when I was there. So it's those kinds of things, and many of you have some good talent, all of that. So do not be afraid to do consulting. There's a need for consultants out there in a lot of things that you're doing. So do not be afraid. Just step out and step in and do it. Okay, I think that I might be near the end of this thing, you know, because I like to, one of the things I don't like doing is, I'm like Jimmy Carter, I like the fireside chats, just sitting down with somebody like Roger, just one-on-one and that, and, you know, we can, and then what I'm gonna do is follow up with Roger and say, you know, what did you do, how did you do it, you know, and one thing I always ask, help me to understand. You know, you gotta play like you don't really know what's happening, you know. Help me to understand. And then people are really willing and happy to tell you, because they feel that they are helping you to understand, because you're not that sharp, you know. So that's a good way to do it. Just think of it. So Keith asked one question. I'm sure some of you might have some questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them, whatever that you might have.
Are you happy?
Pardon me? Who said that? Oh. Yes, I'm extremely happy. I wake up every day wanting to go, you know? It just, why is it, you know, when you wake up, you know you gotta be part of that 5 a.m. club, you know, you wake up and you don't need a lot of sleep. They said to a sleep therapist one time and had me doing all this crazy stuff. I said, when you go to sleep, what do? I said, I go to sleep. But you know, I mean, that's why I go to bed. I don't go to bed just to toss and turn and all that kind of crap, you know. You know, you work your butt off, you're gonna be tired. So you get up in the morning with a smile on your face, and people, do you want somebody to walk in and see you that's all grumpy and all that stuff, you know? No, usually we don't, right? So yeah, good question. Thank you. Did I answer your question? Okay. Other question? Yes. That's an excellent question. When I was at Rugby, and I became a vice president, the senior president, vice president, said that I was too self-confident. You know. Now, and I'm going to answer your question. I had a lot of thoughts after I read it, and he put that in my performance evaluation. And, you know, it's one of those things you feel like going and slapping and hitting inside the head, you know, all of that, but you can't do that. But you take a particular time when you do want to sit down in a private room or area, and then go over it and try to get them to help me to understand why you said this and why you wrote this. And usually, I wouldn't say 100%, but usually you're going to get an answer to that. If there's a barrier, what you want to do is find a way to get around it, get on it, get over it, or to get through it. But you got to sit and talk to people. One of the things that we don't do, you know, we just have a dialogue with people. We don't. And some people don't like doing it, but now there's so many different ways you can communicate. Emails, I'll write an email in a minute, you know, when you deal with something, you know, or memo or something, and then in it, nice, not something that's nasty. There will be there, you know, what you're going to try to do, emotion, all kinds of things that you like. We can get around. We'll get through it. Again, somewhere.
So you talked about letting go of what's weighing you down, and whether that was a failed relationship or a position that was lost, you know, within the workforce. How do you let it go? What have you seen to be successful in your own journey or for others?
Very, very good question. Well, I most certainly like the one of too self-confident. Myself, I put in my head, and all the thoughts that, wow, why would he say this? it's because I'm a black male, or because of this, or because of that, because I'm type A, you know, I'm always wound up and got, you know, and all those things. So you try to, but you also try to have the person to understand really who you really are. I'm a human being. That affected you. Personally, professionally, that's what I try to mentor in. You know, have people, what is it that you want to do personally? What is it you want to do professionally? Because you are going to have things that's going to happen that it's very, very hard to let go, and it's hard for anybody to let something go. But you just have to, again, it's another TKO, technical knockout. Technical knockout, not a knockout that you're gonna, a year, 2 years from now, you're still talking about it, or you're still, it's bothering you. Because it's gonna impact you. It's gonna affect you in your relationship, your interpersonal relationship, your performance, your behavior. It's gonna affect you some way or somehow. That's gonna happen. And it'll hold you back. It really will. And I'm sure if you say you haven't had it, maybe, I don't know, I'd like to talk to you. I think, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense? Other question? Yes.
What does the Dream Center need from the greater Fort Wayne area to help that community rise?
Excellent question. Glad you asked. One of the things Chuck Shorreich said that go and become a non-profit, because all the other businesses are for-profit, because it allows you to get grants and other folks who want to help, and they can write it off. In the process, it just got the approval for 501c3. That's number one. Number two, there is a company here, and I'm not going to tell the name. They recently gave the Dream Center $6,000 that we're using. What I like to do is be able to show where every penny of that money went and how the impact it had on someone. Unfortunately, there are a lot of places that end up with 501c3 just get it. And what are they doing? You need to be able to show, you know, that's why we're getting all these calls from people. That's, you know, it's a great question. So if there's something you or your company, you know, whomever, I'd be happy to talk to you, because what we want to do, even those three areas, we bring in all these key speakers, you know, that's not charging a penny, and people that are coming. The federal lady called me yesterday, she was getting one of the wellness classes. Tuesday and Thursday, that's a place here in Fort Wayne called John May Farmers Old Fire Station, in the back. That's, you know, that it's all teaching people about healthy eating. Diabetes is running rampant in Fort Wayne and a lot of other major cities. But a lot of it, people don't like to exercise, people don't like to eat right, you know, and all the commercials and everything that you see. You know, it's hard to turn down. It's ice cream bars and all kinds of stuff, you know. But you got to be disciplined. I cut out red meat in 1990 because a doctor said that I would probably die of colon cancer in 10 years, because I kept growing 5 years. I kept growing these polyps and had to see them every year. It scared the life out of me, you know. So 1990, I cut it out. So I have found numerous ways. One, how to cook. Two, how to fix food, and I'm telling you, even just to smell it, you can't walk away. Okay? That's what's so important. So how you can help with a lot of the people in the southeast area, and that's what we're trying to do. Educate, inform, and get people involved, get them exposed, and notes, the calls, and all of that. People coming by are saying they're so happy. This was a building that had sat there for 40 years vacant. Came in and renovated and how to turn it around. And then three, again, here, health and wellness, entrepreneurship, a lot of folks trying to start a business and all of that. And most businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years. So a lot of people that will help. And then the life skills. We got 21 life skills. We had the young lady come in and talk about sex trafficking. A lot of people don't realize that Fort Wayne is a hub to Chicago, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Detroit. And what's happening here, the young boys and the young ladies,
She came to speak for
an hour and a half,
3 hours she was there. The questions and
concerning people,
so those are
the
the
things that we're doing. And some of these we're repeating the sessions and the workshops only because people are interested. They want to try to help. And two,
they want to know.
so if you look at the sheet, walk in, I invite all of you, anytime you want, 1615 East Wallace Street, we're 7 minutes from downtown, and great location. Did I answer your question, sir?
You did, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, somebody else had a question? Anybody?
Talk about mentorship.
Talk about it?
Talk about mentorship. How to establish that relationship for the mentorship process to be successful. It has to be a two-way give and take.
You're exactly right. That's why I like for it to go at least a year, and just once a month, and also will have assignments, and you get the book with the questions in there. First question, what do you want to do personally with your life, and what do you want to do professionally? You got to think about that, and you got to work on it, and you know, it could take 2 or 3 sessions before really you're satisfied with the answer. Because some people say, you know, I really never thought about it. Some people go in and apply for a job and say, well, I can do anything. Well, that's not, you know, that's going back to what is you want to do personally and what is you want to do professionally, you know, in the mentorship piece. And we all need mentors. I mentioned that Dr. Casey, when I was at International Harvest, a lot of things that he taught me, because I've dealt with a lot of situations where I've had to deal with terminations and all of that, you know. But in dealing with those, it can be very difficult. I had all 4 of my tires cut on the car once, you know, couldn't go any place because I dealt with termination. So, but you can't be afraid. I still would do it, you know, and whatever. You gotta be strong. You gotta have the belief. You gotta have the courage, and know that you're trying to help. It's the approach that you take, and mentorship can help you with the approach. Because some people are really, you know, you don't want to deal with them. Yeah, and they need help. Okay. Somebody else had their hand.
Did that answer your question?
Did anybody pick up at least one thought or one idea that you think could be helpful? Yeah? Thanks you. We can talk about things all day long. I'm one, I don't like to waste a lot of time just around talking. I'm bottom line. I like results oriented. Somebody come in with a situation and they say, well, this just happened, that just happened, or whatever. Okay, let's get to the bottom line. You know, right? You don't want to hear all that crap, you know. Just get to the bottom line. Make sense? Yeah. Don't call you out? No, I'll call you.
Everybody, let's give a round of applause.
Thank
A
you.
lot of good stuff. So I'm going to do something a little different because he dumped a lot of knowledge on us, a lot of leadership stuff. So the one thing that I got from it was the jack in the box and being afraid. Is there's so many times that I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to apply for this or I'm not going to do this because there's a fear base, right? Am I good enough? Who am I going against? And comparison is the thief of joy. But I'm going to think of that jack in the box. I almost look like him too. So now I got a relationship with it in my head. But what did you guys get? Just raise your hand and tell me what, because I saw people writing down notes. Who wants to share? First one's the hardest.
I'll do it. I'll do the fear thing. This is my first Friday. I've never been here before, and I drove up and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a ton of people here. didn't know what I was doing. Actually, Stutzel, that was your greeter at the door, actually graduated with my kids, and I felt like welcomed already. So was that fear, getting past that fear just to walk in this morning?
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Who else? Wayne?
Nobody rises to low expectations.
Yeah.
Set yourself some meaningful goals.
I mean, I've killed some low expectations once or twice. Yes, sir.
If it's got 4 letters, it goes on the left side of the
That's huge. That's huge.
I didn't either. I'm changing my whole habit. Who else?
Oh, man, that was huge.
We didn't hear from this side of the room.
Power of mentorship.
Yes.
Leading into other.
Appreciate that.
Pretty hard to stop that.
Right? Take it with you. Yes, sir.
It's positive if you go back to the scene of the crime. Yes.
How true.
How about this side of the room? Anybody?
Yeah.
I'd say, exposure, education, and experience. I like those 3 of growing yourself is the point of getting that exposure, educating yourself, experience.
Well, let's give John one more round of applause. So with that, make sure with First Fridays, meet someone new. We've already learned something new. We've got a lot from each other. But share what John has kind of expressed today. Share it with each other. Have good conversations. I'm sure everybody in here has their own story. And take advantage of that. Really appreciate you guys. Next month, we have another great speaker. So jump in, go to our website, follow us. Make sure you get all of the information around First Fridays Fort Wayne. And hope to see you next First Fridays here, and we'll make sure. So I just want to say, the elephant in the corner. So I know that the mic went out a lot. We had that problem last time too, and Emily and her team, they had someone walking around, dancing and shaking and doing everything, and it never went out. But sure enough, as soon as we're in production. But I just appreciate you guys, and thank you for working through that with us. And ultimately have a blessed week, and hope to see you next month for First Fridays.